During our breakout group, there's a young man. Would you come up, please? Oh, yeah. I warned you. He said something, which is the essence of not even spirituality, but if we could remove all words about God, religion, if we could quit all words. Here's what he did. We were talking about God, and he says, you remember what you said? He wants me to tell it. He said, or whatever it is. That's power. Think about that. Who's actually seen God that stands up there with a beard, and he's an old man normally? So that was very beautiful. Thank you, because the teachings are ostensibly the esoteric teachings, head in the direction of, do we want to name God? What is this God? What is it? So, someone mentioned here a moment ago that they enjoyed the word, the thought, just the thought of God. So in fact, God could be thinking, which means one of us could be thinking, or we could be thinking of God. And I think Shiv was going in that direction very nicely. So could God be thought? Could God be thought? So to the mind that is still, the whole universe surrenders. Lao Tzu, wonderful, wonderful sage and teacher. But there's a couple of secrets. Rumi, wonderful Sufi mystic, said, if you could get rid of yourself just once, the secret of secrets would open to you. Now, what does he mean there? He's saying your outer, programmed, polluted self that has no idea that it has a stillness. The face of the unknown, hidden behind the universe, would appear on the mirror of your perception, is what he's saying. And we have a wonderful Sufi expert here today that may help us along with this. My knowledge of Sufism is not anywhere near what this individual's is, and we have a presenter. The mirror of your perception, what could that be? See, and this is the start of the path. The real start is, what is the mirror? It's our consciousness. Well then, what's your consciousness? You need to identify that. What really is my consciousness? The face of the unknown, hidden, would appear on the mirror of your perception. Out beyond ideas of right or wrong, and that's the beauty part of this place called point zero. The stillness. There is no right and there is no wrong there. You simply are. We have a Buddhist, and I spoke with him earlier and said, I'll defer to you. Maybe you can assist us further understanding the concept of Buddha and his stillness. Buddha, to me, invented stillness. That's a laugh out loud, by the way. Okay? Point is, there is a field, and Rumi says, I will meet you there. What he means is, I won't meet you there unless you also are in the stillness that he perpetually is in, or was in, and he still exists as a wonderful, wonderful, beautiful being. Moving on forward, seeing as I'm in France, well actually I'm in Canada, I'm sorry about that. I was told you can't do that, you can't compare France and Canada. I was warned, so nobody's laughing at this one. Fact is, what a winner, Rene Descartes. What a winner. He said, and this is important, I think, therefore I am. What does that mean? What he's saying is, if I couldn't think, I wouldn't have the awareness that I exist. The key to consciousness is you exist. We exist. We can think. Animals can't do that. Though we tend to act as animals once in a while, using that power of awareness. Humans sometimes are worse than animals when their consciousness is misplaced. History is replete with that. I think, therefore I am. He struck gold with that one. Moses was asked to move the Jews out of Israel, and he panics, and he says, Lord, you know, you keep talking to me and telling me to do this, but who are you? When they ask me, what do I say to them? And then he looks to his side, and there's a bush, and the bush sets on fire. But it doesn't consume the bush, the fire. And from the fire, a voice says, God speaks in the fire of the burning bush as light. I am that I am. Look at the close call to Descartes. Descartes never saw the bush. He got it. Okay, interesting. Do you see where we're going? It's a fact that first we establish that we exist, that we are. An animal can't do that. An animal reacts instinctively to hunger, to thirst, and just responds. Only humans think and acknowledge, I am. Bless you. Now, 2 weeks ago at a symposium, I was just sitting, taking a break. A very beautiful lady walks up, nicely dressed, and she said, you know, I don't know why I'm here. I said, okay. Well, she said, I'm a lawyer, I'm well off, make a lot of money, work for a huge American insurance company. That tells you right there. Okay? So, I'm not happy. I have everything. I've traveled around the world 3 times now, and I'm not happy. Help me. I said, how may I help you? She says, well, something rang a bell. Something rang a bell when you were speaking. I said, okay. She says, what's this all about? And while we were doing this, 4 or 5 more gathered, and someone said, yeah, but I'm not rich. I wish I had what you got. I got nothing, and I'm unhappy too. And then another human spoke up, and more spoke up, and it became very obvious that the human condition can create much unhappiness when we don't know how to direct it, okay? So, on a personal level, at approximately the age of 17 or 18, I'm working in a hospital trying to make money for college payments. My parents were not that rich, and I was placed in a position in an emergency room where I was a scut worker, cleaning up vomit and so on. I think it made 50 cents an hour back then. Imagine that. And in comes a lady with the ambulance with 3 kids and a husband. And she's complaining of chest pain. So we started to do CPR on her because her progression became very rapid. Approximately 2 hours later, and you don't forget this when you're 18 years old or 17 years old, I'm doing CPR on her chest and she passes away. Something leaves. So this bothered me because I couldn't identify what happened. Now the kids are crying, mom's gone, dad's very upset, obviously, and to boot, I have to take her to the morgue with a nurse, and I'm still looking at her saying, breathe, why don't you come back to life? That's an 18-year-old kid, okay, who's basically not doing well in school, extremely unhappy kid I was, great athlete, had a lot of hair, a lot of chicks, miserable, all right? My parents hated me. I was always in trouble. Looking for something. What are we looking for? I started to study. I asked the doctors what happened, what left, and they could only give me clinical components. They could only tell me her heart stopped, the Purkinje fibers, the pacemaker stopped. Subsequent studies said something different. Here's the greatest gift that we can give one another. And there would be no more ISIS. There would be no more war. Know and who we are. Notice, know what first and who we are. And hold that perfect reality. It's a God reality, if you wish. Always in the forefront of your consciousness. When you do that, there's a way to do it. There are ways to do it. You do start to feel the essence of peace. Love. And that love ain't sex, folks. Got nothing to do with that. Love, peace, harmony. No matter what you face, something starts to happen. You begin to change slowly, and it's very scary. At least it was to me. So let me take you one step further. This is not a slide, but according to Vedanta, there are two symptoms of enlightenment. Just two indications that a transformation is taking place within you toward a higher consciousness. The first symptom is that you stop worrying. Life seems to deliver everything you need. You don't worry how you're going to get here from there. I got stuck in Philly. I knew I'd get here. All right? Things don't bother you anymore. You become light-hearted and full of joy. The second symptom is that you encounter more and more meaningful coincidences in your life. More and more synchronicities. And this accelerates to the point where you actually experience the miraculous. And it ain't the miraculous at all. When you're in a certain state of mind, a certain condition, like Jesus and Buddha, miracles you can do, create. It just happens. You don't even have to try. Deepak Chopra said that. Okay? Deepak's one of my favorites, years and years ago. Now, this is where the line of demarcation comes, excuse me. This is critical. What if God is thought? You have to identify to yourself what thought is. What if God is the thought, the actual thinker, the thing that is thought of, and then manifestation of the thought? Because make no mistake about it, you'll prove this to yourself if you already haven't, that what you think seems to happen, materializes. It just happens. So God, the one and only energy, it's always good. It cannot be bad unless you convert that energy to negativity. It manifests as consciousness, awareness, but it's disguised. It's in the human. We think we're human, and yet this God is you. It's us. It's us. It can be no other way. If there's only one energy, and it is everywhere, that's a key slide. Once you get to a certain point, there's an understanding that you're certainly way, way more than you think. And then you begin to prove it to yourself. Now here's a beautiful chart. If we took Hinduism, Buddhism, etc., 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 call them religions, we seem to have trouble. We fight. We argue about it. On the esoteric side, we have a Buddhist here who probably will not, or a Sufist that will not proclaim that they're the only religion, because they know something. They know that if you take and plant a universal God in the esoteric side on the top, there's no room for war. And in a moment we'll hopefully show you why. Religion, if it's lacking the basic teachings of the principles of the one, religions cause war. If it's not ISIS, well, certainly let's take a good look at Christianity. We ran around with red crosses painted on our shields, and we killed hundreds and thousands of people how many years ago, centuries ago? Can't blame Islam. All right, we better all look deeply inside our religions, but even better, take religion and you can attend it. If you've chosen your religion, that's awesome, but at least keep in the back of your mind that if you went to an Islamic temple or a Buddhist temple and you're a Catholic, if your thinking is on the esoteric side, that God exists everywhere, there'll be no problem. You'll love what you see in that temple or that church because you're at such peace and you're not saying, I'm a Buddhist, you're a Catholic. You're an Islamic and I'm a Jew and we can't meet. That's what's wrong. And all you college students here, you're going to lead the way. You're going to lead the way, every one of you. Old guys like me, best I can do is pass some message on. But the college kids here, you're the ones, once you realize how potent this philosophy is, that it's you as God, goddess. You control. You're in full control of the future. And there cannot be any peace unless it starts with one individual at a time. It's impossible otherwise. It's impossible. Now here's the philosophy. The ancients, critical. They maintain there's only one presence and energy. You are that. Hindu teaching. How is that said in Hindu? Tomasi. One God. You are that. And this is a hard pill to swallow, especially if you've been in a religion that worships a God that's up there. Yes, there is a God up there, but you'll see in a second, hopefully, how we stepped out of that God and became a component of it. You are that. We are that. I am that. So what's the problem? What's the problem if everyone is that? This must be carried in the forefront of our consciousness, moment by moment. There are techniques where you're in the center point, focused in consciousness, in such a way that if Hitler himself, and I guess with Dr. Boris tomorrow will be discussing this is an awesome presentation on his part. He talks about the fact that if Hitler stands in front of you, and Hitler has a reputation for evil, if you see evil, so it is. But if you look deep inside Hitler, who sent my parents to concentration camps for quite a while? If you look at Hitler's core, from this point of view, that he is God, scary, isn't it? The fact is, in his core, he is light. But he took that power, he took that energy, and he converted it to murder and killing. Needless to say, karma brought him a sad death, but the fact still remains. He is a component of God. The disciplines tried in many ways to demonstrate this teaching to us that we are God. I am, very powerful words. Every time you use I am, you're either creating in a powerful, positive way, or you're creating death and destruction. When you say I am, you're speaking as that burning bush, the voice from that burning bush. God identified itself, not himself or herself, as I am that I am. When you say I am this, or I am not feeling this way, then I don't even want to say it because I'm scared. See what I mean? It's that powerful. Things happen when you say I am this or I am that. When you think it even. I am perfection. Try to figure out what perfection is sometime. Sit down and instead of meditating, contemplate. What is perfection? And look it up in Webster's or wherever. Undivided, self-sourced, self-fed, original being. That's what we are. I am the manifest and unmanifest. These books are manifest. They're physical content. Behind that book is unmanifest energy. Unmanifest, hidden from view. Power. I am presence. You are me. I am thee. Together we are one. You can't separate the energy in this room. You just cannot. If we all stepped out of this room and left our spirits, our energy, like that song indicated, I am light, you would see candles basically flickering. You would see light bodies, and yet our physical bodies would be gone. So what we are beings of light. If you're an atheist, and you certainly do not believe in any of this, because you don't like the word God, just make it energy. Simply energy. So even poor God, the name God comes from the word good. Even, you have to say, well, you're not God anymore, you're energy. And God says, that's fine. Do with me what you want. If this God is perfect, then why are we experiencing all these troubles? Why are we miserable? Why are we unhappy? Perfection and within imperfection. Thanks to Mr. Lawler. So why? You have to ask yourself why. So let's see if we can sort of stretch your memories, stretch your minds, and envision, if we would, because this is the step one to learning how to focus and become this one mind. It's the stillness, the peace. Envision somewhere way above me a huge sphere of light, as if you were looking into the sun. Envision that, and let us say that that's the original source from which everything came. Now envision smaller spheres of light emanating, coming out of that original fiery light. Each of those spheres that came out is one of us here. It has to be. Is one of us here. That was God saying, I am, and I intend to create now. So God manifests itself as a light. And then says, I'm establishing a hierarchy of beings that will create planets, will create horizons, will create stars, universes. Imagine how huge a universe is, and this God had that forethought. As the Elohim, powerful beings, started to create Earth, and we're going to pick this up a little bit in the interest of time, the Elohim said, and in the meantime, by the way, we, as spheres of light, are just enjoying this. This is just beautiful. There's no bodies yet, no body. We are pure consciousness. We're mind, we're consciousness. And then we're given an offer. Who wants to go and occupy some bodies, physical bodies, down there on Earth, Mars, Mercury, wherever? It's a choice we made to come on in. Now, in the first 3 or 4 incarnations, history seems to show, everything was perfect. You were able to use this power that you had to create more and more and more of the beauty that already existed on planet Earth. But then something happens. We become competitive. Shiv creates a tiger, I create an elephant. My elephant's gonna take care of his tiger. And slowly as we become competitive, we begin to forget who we are. You forget that you are light and power. And an actual veil is drawn between the consciousness of your body, in your body, and the consciousness of that light that you originally were. The light still is there, but there's a blockage. It's a blockage. So you're a God human, but you still reside in those cosmic realms. Right here. There you are. It's always just a matter of feet away when there's a tremendous energy entering your body, and we just don't know it. Now, how to reach that? You are here, and I am there. You are here. The return journey is remembering and recalling your divinity. No more can you say, I am sick. I am tired. Now I'm going to negate these statements in my mind, okay, as I'm making them. I am not happy. You can't do that. As you do that, you attract more and more and more of that back into your life. It's extraordinarily powerful. It's powerful. So how did we get into that real mess? We blame free will. When we stepped out of that bright light and became lights, we were told, when you occupy those bodies down there, do what you want. You're on your own. I'm not going to govern you. Nobody's going to govern you. You just go ahead and do what you have to do. Enjoy yourselves. So free will got us into a jam a little bit. And this depicts beautifully which way, this way, that way, what, who, when, where. Free will is a powerful tool, hence creating karma. And cause and effect, I didn't make these up, these are historic, these have been written about from day one. Karma simply is energy, if you wish, that we produce, and it can be good, it isn't all bad. Karma is every thought, every feeling that we hold, and it manifests around you like a shroud. And it's payback. Either you receive payback from the good and or the bad. It just is. So possibly from past lifetimes, some of us carry karma, and there's a way to burn up karma. There's a way to get rid of karma. You don't have to pay that karma up in the conventional way, contrary to popular opinion, because energy can be manipulated, and it's only energy. Now, to give us an example of energy, think back somewhere here of your latest confrontation with someone else. And remember, they're in your face, you're in their face, and there's a feeling of, whoa, this is terrible. I don't like this. They don't either, by the way. And then, so if you're a husband and wife, which is normally where it happens, or a significant other, one goes to work, the other one goes to work, but for the rest of the day, man, in your head is that confrontation. That's standing waves of energy. It's quantum theory. Energy stands around you and moves around you and moves around. And it can be dispelled. Now, even if you go home and you make up, still for a day or two maybe, depending on the severity of the confrontation, you still have remnants of that energy. So there are ways of moving energy out of the way. See, again, and this is written on purpose, it's a repetition on purpose, because you have to keep coming back to the essence of your consciousness. You have to identify. Just at some point, instead of going into a deep meditation, just sit there and say, why did I just take that next breath? What made me take that next breath? What's behind it? Take your pulse, and say, what is making that beat? And at death, that beat stops. So it's a matter of training the mind to be aware of an internal concept more than an external. Now what's in the human body that is the observer of the human self? Please just take a moment and look at any part of your human body right now as we sit there. Just glance down though, make sure you're looking. Just take a look at your hand, whatever. Who or what just did that looking? If you have an itch, you do the scratch. What made you lift your hand up? What is it that governs your thinking? When you find that spot, things really become fantastic. What makes you have the next thought? What? It's a what? It's a consciousness behind your consciousness. And there's ways, and I think there are a couple of experts on this that will address, hopefully, attention. The chakras are critical areas of the human body. Thank you. Critical components. And there are ways, beautiful methodologies for focusing on chakras. and they seem to bring you into an alignment of peace and silence. So they're holy, holy centers of energy where that light that you saw in that song does enter the body. There's a way it's got to do it. And it sits also in the bottom of your spine. It's called Kundalini. It's an awesome thing when that happens and it starts to move upwards, but it's also terrorizing. And when that energy, why does it move? It seems to move when you get hit in the head and have an accident, or because at some past incarnation you started the process and it's beginning to show itself now. So there's a great book, right? Shiv Kundalini Rising. It's a great book. It'll help you. See, again, it's inferring, turning attention to your source. You're not John Fred. You're not. That's the name given to you, to your body, by your parents. What is it that's the real you? One of my favorites, Jesus said, if thine eye be single, your body is full of light. So if you walk away with anything from my blabbering, when you learn to focus on this chakra, you learn to still the mind. You enter a place that's unique. It's not describable even. It's been written about. There have been efforts to explain it. It's a place, and it brings peace. Something changes, and miracles do begin to happen. And you begin to touch others in ways that you didn't even know you could. Well, you couldn't. Not the outer self, not the ego, but when you find that inner self, something happens. And Buddha says the same thing. Place the mind on one point, and it's an insight point. In India, what do we call the... He's going to be a wise guy. The fact is, anything to stay focused, anything to remember, I am. The builder, that's it, thank you. Anything to go back to that central point. To be awake, there is a blending of that outer you and an inner you. There's an actual blending. You are here and you are there. I know this is dry, folks. It's the hardest thing to explain because it's nearly not explainable until you touch it yourself. So, I'm running out of time, I can tell, but bringing under control your emotions and so on. So let's just go through one part of this. And it'll be touched by Boris. Dr. Boris will deal with this somewhat. Look at, if Hitler showed up here, let's do this one more time. There's a part of us called Christ consciousness. Hitler shows up, and you're going to look at him, and something inside you stirs and says, whoa, get out. But there's another side of you called Christ consciousness. When you're in the stillness long enough, you play around in that arena, all of a sudden you notice you've got a choice. You don't have to react. You don't have to. You don't go after Hitler. You say, I love you, not for what you did, what you were, but who you are and what you really were. I'm not saying I love you, the killer, but I'm saying I love the God in you that is my God, that I am also. It's called Christ consciousness. If someone drives by you, cuts you off, and then you feel like doing the old hand trick, the middle finger going up, right? Well, that's very common. Well, Christ consciousness says, send love to that person. Send love. Okay, it actually works. And this is the trick of tricks. Think about this and look up Isaiah. Okay? Before they called. Meaning before we speak, there's an answer already. God answers. While we are speaking, God is there saying, what do you want? Okay? Before I speak, I hear. This touches me very deeply, this one, because it is the essence of the teachings. Who speaks when we speak? God speaks. And who answers? God answers. And then what? Then there's a result, a manifestation of something. It is that easy to work miracles, and they work the best when they work for someone else. Now, God bless you. So, actually, it's your God. My God is one with yours, and you are the one reading, God bless you. It's a problem that, mystery of mysteries, how could God have divided itself into so many fragments? So who's doing the blessing? Think about this. When I say to you, God bless you, I'm actually saying your own God is blessing you. You cannot get away from God. Call it energy. Whatever it is, you can't get away from it. You are it. Tag. Thank you.
George, thank you so much. Is there anybody that's got a question for George?
I got a hug for it.
I've got a hug for this guy too. Jeff, can you just come up here, because we want to record the questions too. So if you can, just come up here, and VJ, get my good side this year, okay, please? If you can just ask the question, and George, if you can answer.
Yeah, I appreciate all that you said, and I was just curious.
Turn around there so we can get you.
Okay. I appreciate all that you said, but one thing that came through a couple of times there, particularly when you were talking about there's us here and us here. I was wondering if you had ever encountered a man by the name of Leonard Shaw and his book called Love and Forgiveness, because his way of simplifying it is to say we have a small mind and a big mind. So he's simplified that concept and presented that both to many people in large settings with lots of money. He also volunteers and does exactly the same presentation in correctional systems. But that concept of small and big, and then also his book is called Love and Forgiveness. It's online. Look up Leonard Shaw. And so that idea of showing compassion and seeing the hurt and the anger in the evil, seeing the hurt and making that shift. Anyway,
This is why we call this each one teach one. Do you see? Shaw calls it one thing. There's another way to look at it and call it the higher mind, lower mind. There's different ways. But it's all one mind once you go into point zero, Shania. And I've missed a couple of key things that I just wanted to read to you, but we'll have to do it individually somehow or in groups. It's not as fancy and as nice as a selfie stick, this whole path.